Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Well, hello and welcome to Rick's Corner. Things are really good. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm back in the gym every day doing upper body. I tried doing a 3-set thing per exercise for every body part, and it's working really well. For now, until I can do my legs again. I just left the cardiologist and my other physician, my primary, and they said I'm doing really well. I still have to take a heart medication because that's what they want me to do. But my leg is healing up, the holes are going away, and in about 2 weeks they should be closed up. And I should be back in business. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. You guys have told me how much you like my stories over the past. I had part 1 and part 2. I am doing a part 3, but I thought I would add this one just as a bonus because it's kind of fun. I want to talk about the people that I met in the 70s in the gym, because if you look around the gym today, you'll see characters that you will notice, and if you go to another gym, you'll see the same characters, not the same people, but characters who are similar. The old guy that tries to lift too much, the skinny kid that thinks he's really built, the fat pudgy kid who's on steroids full of pimples and he's always flexing in the mirror because he thinks he looks great. I mean, we all have those people that we know about. The ones that are trying to lift too much and they only do like an inch movement on the leg press and they have like 15 plates on there. Every gym has them, and that's just the way it is. But back in the day of Joe Gould and Gould's gym back in the early days of the Mecca, Joe was a funny guy. He had a nickname for everybody. Everybody came to the gym, he called him something, and they also called Joe Gould the Gold. It was never Joe. It was the Gold is at the beach, the Gold's playing handball, the Gold will be home in a minute, he'll be back in the gym. But then he called him Joe when he'd see him. I mean, he's just a nickname. However, all right. One of his friends was Seymour Koenig, my friend as well. He was a wrestler, he was a bodybuilder, he was a chiropractor, good-looking guy and well-built, and he was always late. For everything they ever wanted to do, he was late. So Joe Gould named him the Snail because he moved so slow, and so everybody knew him as the Snail. Then we had Bug-Eyed Louie. Louie was, he wasn't really a bodybuilder. You know, he kind of had a big belly and he trained hard. He was strong, but he had those bug eyes like some people have. They just bug out of his head. And he was into watches, and he would always look at your wrist to see what kind of watch you had on because it had to be an expensive watch. That's what he went for. We called him the Watch Queen. Then we had Yogi. Yogi was a German guy who'd come in the gym every once in a while, and he'd wear a black t-shirt, black shorts, black combat boots, and a black army fatigue cap. And he was really strange. He's just a strange guy. He would go down and hang around the Marine base and pick up guys all the time and come back and tell us about his escapades. And he would shout out in the gym, and he would just kind of go crazy, but then we kind of got rid of him. Einar the plumber was a friend of Joe's. He, big heavy guy, never worked out, but always came to the gym and hung out. 2 silver teeth in front, and I don't know how he got under the sink. He was so fat he couldn't do it. Joe finally kicked him out of there because he said he wasn't very nice to my dog, and Joe liked dogs, so that was the end of Einar. Then we had Chuck Callus. Chuck was an amazing bodybuilder. He had a really, really good body, ripped to shreds. He would get up at a wedding or any party and take his clothes off, stand on the table, and start posing. And they called him the Gopher because he had this long, narrow face like a rodent, and so Joe called him the Gopher. Chuck passed away last year, and I was really sorry to hear that. I wanted to get him on my show, but it just got, he got really sick, and that was that. Of course, they called Arnold the Austrian Oak because that was his nickname. Then we had a guy named Steve Neese, big, tall guy, blonde hair, dark glasses, real wide shoulders, and no butt. He would wear 2 wallets in his jeans to make him look like he had a butt because it was so flat. But he would sit on the end of the bench and pick his nose and eat it and then fall off the bench. We never could understand what his problem was. But they called him Moby Dick because he was a big white whale. Then he went to Calgary, Canada, wanted to learn how to wrestle, and ran the ropes and tripped over his own shoelaces, and that was the end of that. He also wrote for Muscle and Fitness in a lot of magazines. He was a good writer. But as far as anything else, no bodybuilder, no wrestler, nothing. He also passed away. We had a character by the name of Mike Galt who drove a van. Mike was in okay shape. He wasn't a bodybuilder, but he was in okay shape, and he would do weird things. Like he had goldfish, and he would inject them with steroids to see if they get bigger. I don't know if they ever did or not, but he told us about it. And why would you want to inject your goldfish with steroids? I mean, it was a crazy thing that he did. I believe he passed away as well. David Carter was the missing link. David would come in the gym in a pair of shorts, no shirt, no shoes, no socks, and instantly go to the squat bar and squat 400 pounds, no problem. It's like he didn't feel any pain, he had all this strength, and he rode a motorcycle, and the motorcycle had one of the foot pegs gone, so when he was on the freeway, his foot would dangle. He lived right across the street from the gym in the alley, and he would cook his own chicken, and he'd cook a whole chicken, bones and all, and then he would eat the bones and crunch them, and he had a really weird voice, like he was out of breath. Oh, you know, Rick, the chicken marrow and the bone is really good for you. You have to eat the bones and all. And he's crunching away on them. But he was a strange guy. I don't know whatever happened to him either. It just disappeared. Bob Leff, who was a friend of mine, he was a nice guy. He had a big nose, but he got a nose job, changed his looks entirely. He used to go to the marina and pick up women right and left. He had no problem at all. And he'd bring one of these folding chairs down to the beach and sit in the sand. He called himself the Prince of Venice. He too passed away. He hung around with a guy named Ron Beckenfield, who's still alive today, who's a friend of mine, has a vitamin company, Continental Vitamins, and he's still in terrific shape. And he and Bob would hang out together, and they'd go to the marina. They had the long hair, you know, the 80s, 70s style. And it was fun to watch them in action. Good guys. And then we had Bob Schott. Bob Schott was about 6'3", blonde hair, a very strange guy, a real loner. But he liked superstar Billy Graham, and he liked the way he drove around his Cadillac. And so Bob got a Cadillac and would drive around, lean over on the armrest and eat a banana, just checking things out around town. And then he would come to the gym and he'd stand out in the back and do judo chops against the stucco. And the whole building would shake. I said, Bob, what are you doing? He said, I'm building my hand up so it's like a rock. So if I hit anybody with a judo chop, it'll hurt him. He was strange, but a nice guy. And then he hung his pants up in the gym one time, in his workout pants, and his pants were full of crap because he never wore any underwear, and God knows what went on in there. And he would tie his workout pants with a tie. He'd run it around and just tie it with a tie. Strange guy. And then he would eat a pound of bacon every morning and a dozen eggs. That was his breakfast. Bugsy Siegel was an older guy, black, real wild hair, looked like a Chicago gangster. His name was Bob. He was always putting everybody down and making remarks, and he'd do one-arm bench presses. I'm sure you've seen people do that. Big belly. Drink a quart of vodka and a half a gallon of milk before he'd train. But inside that man was a really nice person. He was really a good guy. He had a 70 Cadillac convertible and tried to talk me into buying one, so I finally did, and then I sold it because it was a gas hog. Bugsy Siegel, he's just really a strange guy, but fun. All right, then we had two women. One was Debbie. The other one, I don't remember her name. She was about 6 feet. She had the afro with rainbow-colored hair and a huge dog. And she used to always shower when I would and ask me to hand her the soap. Then she wanted to know if I'd come to her apartment and teach her how to wrestle. Really? I don't think so. And then you had superstar Billy Graham, who trained there. What an awesome guy. And this guy was huge and muscular. He looked better than most bodybuilders ever. He was in terrific shape. Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong would come. He was one of the guys. Isaac Hayes would come up and he'd work out, have a limo in the back, come in and work out with all of us and give us all record albums. Bud Danis was one of the owners of the gym later. He bought it with somebody else. And he was an antique dealer, and he had a castle in Venice. I mean, it literally looked like a castle with a suit of armor out in front. And he had a couple of kids that always get stoned in the basement, so we kind of called him the Space Commander because he was always kind of spaced out. He ended up selling the gym. Then Joe's best friend, Zabel Kazuski, who had the best abs in the world, they called him Chief. He would sit in a barber's chair in the office and just sleep or do a crossword puzzle because Joe wanted him to watch the gym. Someone would come in, he says, can't you see I'm sleeping? I'm busy. Come back later. Somebody said that somebody came in to buy some shirts from him, or jackets, leather jackets, and he says, we're all out. Oh, really? Yeah, he says, we're all out. We can't sell you any. And Ed Giuliani went up to him and said, Zabel, we're not out. We got 30 of them upstairs. And Zabel says, well, if I sell them, then I'll just have to order more. I mean, where's your logic on that one? The gym sold to Ken Sprague, who had it for quite a while, and he had a mentor or a guy who sponsored him or a guy who paid his bills who did student films, and he looked just like Ken if he was like 50 years older and drove a 73 Cadillac convertible, so we called him Dr. Strangelove because he was kind of strange. Of course, we had Ed Giuliani. I don't think Eddie had a nickname, but Eddie was just a great guy. He was fun to train with. Franco didn't have a nickname. Frank Zane was there. Draper was called the Blonde Bomber, as we all know. Bill Howard, who used to run Muscle Beach gym outside for Parks and Recreation, he finally passed away. Dan Howard was a big guy, ex-football player who built equipment with Joe out in the back. Then he opened up a world gym in Orange County, and it was a chiropractor, and I don't know what happened to him since. Ken Waller was there all the time. He trained with Arnold and I. Ken was a great guy, tough guy. You wouldn't want to mess with him. He's a fighter. But I used to always tease him about leaving freckles in bed because he had red hair and freckles. Artie Zeller was the photographer for Joe Weider. He's the one that took all the pictures of Arnold and Franco and all the good shots that you see in the magazine. He was a wonderful photographer. And he worked at the post office and got Arnold his first P.O. Box, P.O. Box 1234. And that's where everybody ordered Arnold's courses and t-shirts. And Artie was a big help to him. But they called him the clicker because he was always going, he'd click all the time. So they nicknamed him the clicker. Chubby Arms Charlie was Joe's right-hand man. He's a short guy with little chubby arms, we called him, and he would help Joe build equipment in his warehouse or by his garage, and he would run the gym from time to time. Wasn't a bodybuilder, just would hang out with a plaid shirt, a pair of jeans, and make sure the gym was running okay. Then he had another little guy who drove a van. His name was XR. The reason he called him XR, Joe says, because we already have a JR, so I'm just going to call him XR. And that's pretty much the list of guys I can remember, and that's pretty good memory for me from all these years. But we had a lot of characters, and of course, you know, like I said, you have the lat guys walking around with the lat spreads and the puffy bodies, and people who would come to Gold's from time to time. And once it got popular, it became the Mecca, and people would come from all over the world to hang out. And the reason it became the Mecca, I don't know if any of you know this, but Joe Weider used to shoot his ads in there. He used Draper all the time, and then Arnold and me and Zane, all of us were in his magazines. So the magazines would circulate all around the United States, and people must have said, that's Gold's Gym, that must be the place. We all have to go to Gold's Gym in Venice. Well, Gold's Gym wasn't very big. It's a very, very small cinder block building, and no frills and thrills. It was just weights and brick walls. And people would come and say, this is Gold's Gym? I thought it'd be much more than this and bigger, but it had the atmosphere that you wanted. You could walk in any time of the day and just feel the energy and get a great workout. It was just one of those places that it just was the place you wanted to be to train. It just the smell inside, the way the weights felt, the dumbbell handles that Joe made were precision. He would make his equipment to suit your needs. If you didn't like it, he'd rebuild it and change it so it did suit your needs. So this is what it was like, and those are the characters that came. There were more characters that came throughout the year. I would see guys come out there by threes. A lot of people from Michigan for some reason. I think the state of Michigan got evacuated. But they would come out in threes, and then they'd stay for a few weeks. Two guys would get jobs, maybe driving a truck or working in a studio or working as a bouncer. The third guy would get a girlfriend and move in with her, and then after a few months, they'd all move back to Michigan. They'd run out of money. Then three more guys would come and it'd be the same thing all over again. And this is how the gym operated back in those days. And I don't think Joe ever knew it was going to be big. And so he sold it, and he went out to sea as a merchant marine in 70, I believe it was 74. No, it was around 72, 71, 72. And then I did the logo in 73, and then when he came back, he wanted his gym back, but he couldn't because he sold his name. You know, if you sell your name, you can't use your name anymore. And he wasn't supposed to open within a radius of 10 miles, but he owned a lot of property in Venice and Santa Monica, so he opened up World Gym, and it was a cinder block building just like the old one, and he called it World Gym, owner Joe Gould, 2210 Main Street. I lived right across the street was my apartment, and right across the street from my apartment, the other side was the beach. How can you go wrong? You have a gym and you have the beach. What else do you need? Food. Well, that was nearby. Anyway, that's when he came to me in 76. He says, can you draw me a logo? And that became the World Gym Gorilla. So this is how the story goes. And then he had the same characters coming there all the time. And he had a lot of famous power lifters. And people from all over would stop in the gym. But these characters I remember. And when he opened the World Gym, they all moved to World Gym with him. Gold's Gym moved over to Santa Monica. They took a few people. But from that point on, it just carried on. And then Gold's moved over to Hampton, where it is now, and it's been there forever. World Gym moved to 2 buildings and then moved to the Sizzler on Washington and Lincoln. And then Joe passed away and the gym closed up because there was nobody to run the gym. And everybody said, well, I got a free membership. Why do I have to pay? And the attorney said, well, the guy that gave you the free membership died. If you want to keep the gym open, you got to pay membership in order to keep the gym open. And they didn't want to do it. And so that was the end of the gym. Anyway, that's one of my stories. I thought you guys might like it. It's a lot of fun. And I certainly remember all these characters because they were a big part of my life while I was down there. And I had fun with all of them. They were just all really good guys. So that's that, and I'll have more stories later. And stay tuned for more, and I'll bring some guests on, and we'll have a good time. All right, see you next time on Rick's Corner. Bye-bye. Now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.